Today's video we're going to show you how to run an extra socket in your home. Going to show you the correct way to spur off an existing socket. We'll show you how to run the cables, how to fit the back box, how to wire the new plug socket, and show you a complete beginner's guide to installing a new socket in your home. So let's get started. So first thing we're going to look is to move this plug socket. Now basically I'm going to spur off it, which means we're just going to link another plug socket to this one, travel it up and move it behind the telly when it moves. We don't want any cables showing, we want to hide everything. So two cables coming in, so we've got the ring in and ring out. Now with any plug socket, one spur on a plug socket ring is fine. Cut out, chase out a line all the way through and put a new socket there. So we're going to have to do some damage, and then all I'm going to leave is this intact and have a cable coming out, so when it comes to the second fix we can connect to this and we'll have a live socket. Centre of the wall marked out, got a box, simply draw around it, got the box drew on the wall, going to cut across now. Now the thing is with electrics, you've got to work in zones, so you can't just cut a diagonal line from plug socket to plug socket, you kind of got to work across from the socket and down. So if there's ever a socket in the way, there's a cable that could be running horizontally or vertically, so you've got to make sure that when you're doing it you work within zones. Okay, so there's a few things to consider here. We've got a single back box. What we need to do is add a grommet. It's one of these things. This protects the cable when it comes through, so just knock where the grommet's accessible. Looks like that. Put your finger in there. Shake it out. Put your grommet in, like so, and then we can fix it into the wall. So once that's in, I can fix that in place. This is 2.5 twin and earth cable, and basically we're just going to run it from socket to the socket we just cut out from the bottom. Again, put a grommet in the other back box also. Just going to run it through and then clip it into the wall. Now this cable, this ring is RCD protected. I'm in the zone, so I don't need to use capping. Now I would have used capping, but there's hardly no depth to the plasterboard. By the time I put the capping on and the cable, it's probably going to be thicker than the board itself, so I'm just going to have to clip it in place and then bond it out. So capping would have been better, but not today. So let's whack that in there. So we've got our new cable. Okay, so I've got some PVA mixed up, 3 to 1. And we're just going to get it right in there. Don't be scared, proper soak the block up. Soak it all the way along. Now I'm also going to overlap the edges a little bit, and I'll explain that why in a minute. Now there's two things we're going to use here. We're going to use bonding, British gypsum bonding, which is an undercoat plaster, and some render mesh. Let me explain why for both. Bonding, usually for block work, masonry work, you want to use Hardwell, which is designed just for masonry. But when I'm patching in, I prefer to use bonding. And the render mesh is, I find normal screen tape tends to crack. So I much prefer to use this thicker, high-grade product when I'm dealing with chasing, and that it's just a lot stronger and prevents it from cracking in the future. Grab a bit of bonding, fill it up. Make sure you've really squeezed it into the gap. I'm going to cut some strips of this mesh. I'm just going to bed it in to the crack there. Have a little bit. Take a bit more. You can see that bonding really pushing through this. The tape. Do it again. Now we know that section is covered, there's no way that's going to crack back again. That's it, that whole area bonded, scrimmed, safe. Now I'm going to plaster this wall. I don't agree in patching, I'm going to explain why in the other videos. I'm a plasterer, not a decorator, so we are going to skim it. Now the first thing you want to do is keep yourself safe, so find the consumer unit, find the fuse board and switch the power off to the area you're working on. You don't want any electric running through, so to make sure you're going to be 100% safe, find a breaker on your board that resonates to your area you're working in and switch it off. Failing that, just turn the whole fuse board off, and that way you know there's going to be no power going to the sockets. Okay, so this is the Spur that we fed up months ago. Now, through the power of editing, this room's pretty much finished. So we're at the second fix stage. Now what I'm going to show you is how to cable up a plug socket. Now this is never going to be live because it's not cabled on the other end. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right, so what I want to do is I want to strip this cable back so we can see the cables we're working with. So I'll take a little pinch in the centre. These are electrical cutters. So what I want to do is I want to find the earth. So we pull the cable out. Now what you'll find is the earth is left bare. There's no sleeve on that. So pull it back, and then if you use your snips handily enough, and pull the cable back, and what that'll do is it'll strip this sleeve. Now that's the fastest way. Cut that back. Now what we want, so the earth cable here, this needs an earth sleeve. Now you can buy these from Screwfix, Tool Station. Just going to take that kink out. What we want to do here is take the edges off. Grab your snips. What you'll do is if you just pinch it, don't cut it all the way through, you'll find a bit of resistance, and then you grab the edge and then you can flick it off. So then what you're left with is a tiny bit of copper. Now what we want is the same again on the other one. That's it. You don't want too much copper on show, because what you don't want is when you're wiring up your cables to the plug socket, you don't want any copper showing just before it's in. So everything needs to be hidden, that way it's completely safe. Get some earth sleeve. This is earth sleeve. Buy a full roll, they don't give little bits. The rolls are usually massive, but you need this. So what you do is let everyone know that it's earth. And pull that back, cut it, the earth in, simply slips over. Now that's that. Some electricians are happy just cabling it like that. Now what you should do when you are wiring any box is you should also earth the back box. Now this at the moment would only be earthing the socket. What we need to do is earth the back box as well. So let me show you that. This section here, that is where your earth goes to earth the back box. So what we need to do is cut a little bit of cable from your 2.5, screw that into place, and that way you've got an earth that is earth the back box as well. Let me quickly talk through the cabling. Brown is live, blue is neutral. So think blue, water, yellow and green is always earth. Now an old cabling, black is neutral. So, plug socket. It couldn't be simpler really. L for live, N for neutral, and these are the earth symbols, and you've got them either side of the socket. So I always do is have a good pull at each cable once it's done. And what you want to make sure is they're not going to come out. So give them a good tug, make sure they're in tight, and then you can screw it in. Job done. Now a quick word of warning, if you are installing a new socket or anything new in your home in terms of electrics, you will need to get it signed off by an electrician. So if you are doing this for yourself, think about process and actually is it worth just getting an electrician to do it anyway. But with that in mind, it is possible to do it, but you have to just think to make it legally binding, you might have to just get an electrician in to sign it off to make sure it's legit. We'll just throw that in there. So a very similar thing here is that we're going to get rid of this old socket and replace it with this. So it's very simple, same idea, same premise. We're just gonna disconnect all the cables, get it off, remove this. Now they've already earthed the back box, so that's done. Got the earth sleeve, got the cable earth in the back box, which is good. Just gonna cut this cable back. Right. So you have it up like that. You put it at a 90-degree angle, and that'll allow you to pull it back without cutting it with the snips. Pull that back. The old cable. Pull this away. Pull it back out. And go sleeve. Then you put all the colours together. So again, let me go through it. Brown is live. Blue is neutral. Blue and black. Neutral. Red and brown, and then we've got the earth, which needs sleeving up. And then you just wire it in. Don't be scared to really tighten up, because you've got to make sure that you've got a decent clamp on them cables, otherwise it will come loose, especially when you've got power current running through them. They can easily shake out, so make sure you really tighten it up. Now check each one. And that's it. Job done. Got one more hack for you. Now, we need to get these level. I can't be asked to get my bolt level, so I've got this little bad boy. It's the level app on the iPhone. You know what, it's pretty good. Watch, get it on the right setting. Set it back. Needs to tilt a little bit. I'm nearly there, to be fair. That's the one. Let's keep that there. Job done. New sockets, wired in. Got a spur leading above where you want it. This is all good to go. Next thing you want to do is just turn it all on, check it works. It should be good. So that's it. If you like this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe here. If you wanted to figure out how we did the panelling in our front room, how we got the effect of the lower half, then you can check that out with this video. And that's a complete beginner's guide to panelling the room. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.